All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Episode 5.
We got some backstory last episode. Reinhardt.
Our boy Reinhardt and Kirheis also.
And Anne Rose. Yeah. But Reinhardt has some balls.
He has some serious ambitions, some dreams. He literally looked up to the stars and did the,
Well, and he also went into...
monologue?
a gala as a child with a gun, intending to get his sister back.
His sister,
I admire his guts.
Yeah.
It is a good thing, though, he has Kirheis to rein him in.
Yeah.
To rein him in.
Reinhard. Yeah.
It's hard to rein him in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good one.
It's terrible.
But now that we've given some Empire focus here, we've gotten a little bit more characterization onto our main boy over there, Reinhardt. We might go back to Yang.
Yep.
Though there are movements that would position them to at least maybe engage over some things regarding the Isolon Fortress in the coming episodes or so. But... as for now, I'm liking this thing where, we go...
bouncing back and forth kind of a thing?
Back and forth, one or the other. I would say keep doing that, at least for now, because there's still so many characters we've yet to actually get to know well.
And even if we're doing something where they're engaged in some kind of, greater conflict, they can still do the bouncing back and forth thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
Alright, so we are getting more into the Empire here.
Yes.
We have now had our first kind of legitimate internal rebellion, strife, conflict that was direct, non-intrigue based conflict.
Well,
this one had an actual fleet battle where an asteroid satellite-based defense system destroyed thousands of ships.
And this was also the first episode where we got something that was Empire-focused that did not involve Reinhardt. Because, he sent...
He was there.
He sent Kirheis on the mission and all that stuff.
The conflict was not solved by him. He was not there present at.
He was not the protagonist of this episode.
Correct, yes. That was Kirheis.
Which I think is pretty important because with you're talking about the legend of the Galactic Heroes, and you're talking about fleets with thousands of ships and millions of, people. Then, having that you have the one person at the top, and they have their own antagonists and stuff within the Empire and outside, and then you've got the people that serve them, and then the people that serve them, and you can spiderweb it to whatever amount of depth you want, even down to the two gunners,
So this whole thing started, though, because Fejan saw that the Empire won too much in the previous encounter, so they sold a top secret piece of military hardware that defends the Alliance capital.
A planetary defense system.
Yes.
That's
heavy duty to probably one of the richest dominions in the Empire.
Oh yeah,
this one that was the
Secretary of State,
the Castrop, Castrop family. No, that's not the Secretary of State.
Oh, okay.
The Secretary of State was just giving commentary on the whole situation.
Oh
yeah.
Or no, Secretary of the Treasury.
Yes, it was.
The Secretary of the Treasury was the dad. And,
right.
Yeah.
And he
took a bit off the top.
Right, exactly. And used that money to basically fund his own empire on the planet. And you can see how decadent the whole society that they're in is. They're trying to model it as if they're back in the days of the Greeks and having all these, or
the Romans,
or the Romans or what have you. And they do make a point though of that the dynasty was built by the father who passed away a while ago. And the Empire's like, okay, you defrauded the Empire. Yep. Yeah. Now we're gonna come and take our wealth back.
Right.
And then Maximilian's like, nah, I got this super fancy schmancy thing there. So in some ways, well, Fejan definitely started this conflict here by selling the defense system, the Artemis necklace. He also took advantage more so of just the greed of a specific nobleman's family.
Sure. Well, and also potentially it's insinuated that he might have also been the one that supplied the information, allowed there to be that information leak of, if you did want to take it out,
Zephyr's gas,
this is how you do it.
Is the way to do it.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because then that's something that they could use against the Alliance, and since he's the
leverage, like you could hold the entire Alliance hostage.
Oh, potentially, yeah. And boy.
So we have a very cartoony, it's my power, and no one can stop me. Nani? Oh, what? They stopped me? How?
Yeah.
So that's not where the interesting part of this episode lies. It's in some ways a lot of what Fejan is maneuvering things here and trying to basically preemptively balance out the exploits of people like Reinhardt, so that even when Reinhardt succeeds, it doesn't affect the grand balance that they're trying to maintain in the overarching conflict.
Yeah. Like Fejan really feels like one, he feels very inspired by Lex Luthor. In being the bald businessman that's absolutely amoral and
super corporation power
that just way too much power to his name, and he just
yet operates from the shadows.
Right, and yet operates from the shadows.
So as far as his outward appearance, he just seems like a regular businessman with a lot of wealth. Yeah. But in the background, he's doing all kinds of shady shenanigans.
Yep.
So Reinhardt chose a bunch of new commanders and basically people that will end up being his squad, if you will, on his fleet. And he chose them amongst the lower nobles and commoners, though. This is something that I think is important, because I think what he's doing here is he's saying, okay, those of you with old ties to the Empire and lots of loyalty, I don't want you, because I'm going to be building a new empire.
Oh yeah.
And I need people that will be loyal to me, and not have any conflicting motivations there. So it's a lot of young officers. Like, you look at this mix here, and while I think this war ends up being fought by young men or young women, because it's been going on for so long and many people are dying, and
if you're
750,000 just died to stop an insurrection, basically.
Right, exactly.
It's a bit ridiculous. So we got their names there, kind of went over them
so
really quick.
Many.
Yeah, the main ones that actually ended up talking at all were Ruenthal and Mittermeier, and they were each more just talking about, we get a fleet, so I guess he's sending out Kirheis so that he can, give him a nice, little easy mission that'll make him look amazing, so that he can get promoted.
Or not easy, but
right.
But he clearly has a lot of belief in Kirheis, that Kirheis will be able to do it, right? And the question is that will they be able to have that same trust and belief to be able to do those crazy hard missions themselves, or will they just be doing more of the easy stuff?
One of the things I liked was that the Secretary of State, who we've seen in the past, he was colluding with the prince back in the movies, was that they're saying, if Kirheis is successful, that helps, Reinhardt. It increases his influence. But they're saying if he is granted a favor now, someday he will be of use in one way or another. And what's interesting here is the person he's talking to here, Treasure Secretary. I don't know if this is any way connected to the whole thing going on with the Kastrop family, but weren't they what did they have to do with the treasury?
The father was the previous treasurer.
So then this guy might
is the
secretary of the treasury.
Well, he is now in the job that Kastrop's father used to be in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we also, I'm pretty sure these guys have connections to Landshire specifically.
Uh-huh.
Or Fazani. So they also could have been basically the ones that sort of threw Kirheis a bone, without him realizing it, by making sure that he got this information.
Making sure that he succeeds here.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So yeah, that's the thing. The secretary probably did have something involved in that, because he's like, don't worry, you worry too much. All you talk about is if he succeeds, meaning that they're almost guarantee that he's going to succeed. And what I like about this is you could have this go completely under the radar upon watching it for the first time, because you think like, sci-fi mumbo jumbo. Yeah, he just knows exactly what needed to do because they planned off screen.
Exactly,
based on
and he's very smart, kind of a thing.
He's a smart boy, and they were able to see how it worked against the other fleet. But maybe they didn't.
And one of the things that this circumvents is the issue of, because, and I'm probably going to end up making a lot of comparisons to Code Geass with where Code Geass does things badly, since it seems to be so inspired by this show, is in the second season there was a lot of sort of, we have this magical thing that shoots lasers out everywhere and destroys the whole enemy, with one fell swoop, and oh no, it's unbeatable, and then oh no, but we also have a thing that, and they were just pulling them out of their ass. It was ridiculous, right? Yeah. Every episode was a new one. One of the issues with something like that is then, how do you defeat it without basically undercutting that it was supposed to be this amazing thing, right? And here, this is an amazing thing. It protects the Alliance capital, right? This is serious stuff.
Right.
It is absolutely not something that just because Kirheis is the protagonist of this episode and he's smart this episode, that he would be able to figure that out. It only would be able to happen through inside information supplied by the people who designed the system itself. Yeah, right.
And while that's something that, Kirheis is smart still, it doesn't undercut his intelligence in some way, because we never actually saw him getting tested against this thing fully. So it's rather exciting. Now, Kirheis's confidence also about whether or not he'll succeed is also something that's rather good here. I like about this situation is that Kirheis being given the information of how to defeat it is something that he probably wouldn't even suspect as being something that would be like a thing where he's getting pulled around or what have you.
Right.
For all he knows is that after the fleet was destroyed, they learned, we should have done this. That would have won us the battle. It sucks that 3,000 ships had to die in order to do that.
Yep.
But then, what I like about this also is that this is something that was still a notable loss of Empire ships, to where someone like Reinhardt, who is a genius, and probably is a little bit more grand scale thinking kind of genius, whereas we talked earlier about this in a previous episode's discussion, that the thing about Kirheis that probably makes him so smart is that he's a tactician. He's the kind of person that understands the details. Reinhardt might look at this and go, wait a minute, that's actually, we lost 3,000 ships? How many ships does the Empire fleet even have? I almost want to assume that's like, 5% of the fleet or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because
I'm guessing they don't pump out ships like 20 a day or something like that.
I mean,
maybe they do.
Like on the galactic scale of things, I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, who knows? So we end up finding out that they use these engineering ships to release an
explosive gas in a concentrated dose to go circulate in the planet's atmosphere, or in the gravitational field.
In the gravitational field that specifically keeps these satellites from getting slung around the moon.
Right.
Whenever getting pulled away by the moon's gravitational field. So
they basically injected gas into, I almost said ass. They injected gas into a stable orbit around the planet, and then once they do that, cool.
And then they trigger it to fire.
Right.
And ignite themselves.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think that that's cool. I assume that they're probably going with the whole angle that the defense system was like some kind of lasers, so it was actually like some form of concentrated, like, I don't know.
Something that would actually
ignite in space,
Right.
So I'm like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of funky, cool. I am waiting for them, even though this show came out a while ago, and this type of technology wasn't a thing necessarily being talked about at the mainstream stage. But I'm waiting for more cyber warfare type.
Oh, sure.
Styles of combat here.
Yeah, because even in the 80s,
there was
computers were a new thing, so they weren't as pervasive and just everywhere, right? Hence why like with some of the broadcasts, it's like, when they do the comm broadcast, it's able to actually just be picked up, no problem, as if it were like a radio channel or something.
Right.
By
that's
the other
probably
ships.
what the people who made this imagined.
Exactly. Yeah. But
because I think about the gas thing, and I'm like, oh, what would have been rather cool is instead of it being some kind of like actual like gas or something like that, have it be basically just this cloud of little robotic things there.
Yeah.
That once they detected the blast going out, they all detonate.
Right.
And
just or even if it's not that, just shrapnel. And maybe that's something like because I'm pretty sure there's actually an anime that exists out there that's about people picking up trash in space because
of course,
because actual actual space stuff would be so terrifying because there's a rock that's whizzing around at thousands of miles an hour that you happen to run into and it just rips a hole right through your ship, right?
That was what I thought actually was going to happen, was that they were going to do something a lot slower, and that was that over the course of time they would use the gravitational pull of both the moon and the planet against themselves and have basically this whole necklace essentially get torn at a specific point. So then one by one, the beads, so to speak, would slide off the thread and get thrown off from their own position.
Oh, so that way they don't coordinate properly.
They don't coordinate properly, so then when the signal to do the thing happens, they just fire in all random directions.
Sure.
But the thing is, I thought about that almost I don't know, about 10 minutes ago. I was like, wait, if they did do that, actually, what would be devastating is that they'd fire on the planet probably accidentally. It might even be a thing where it's like, oh crap, they probably
those things
it's
probably have
smart.
Engines and everything to make sure that they're maintaining a proper orbit. So it'd probably be pretty tough to actually get them to.
Okay, because I don't think they do. I think it's more that they're all specifically set there as satellites. Once they're there, they just run an automatic thing for defense, and they don't have any input being given to them.
Maybe it's that I don't know enough about like satellites and stable orbits and things like that. But even a stable orbit is something that still needs to be maintained with a little bit of force, right? I could totally be wrong.
Depends.
But
I actually don't know.
I always just figured that it was like minimal stuff, like just base adjustment kind of things. But
then you would need to go and refuel them.
Right, and I guess I always thought that's just something that they get it to a point where they only have to do it every 50 years or something. But probably the whole meaning of the term stable orbit is that
how many satellites we have in orbit?
Oh, a ridiculous amount.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah,
it's I think it's in tens of thousands at this point. It's ridiculous, and these things are so freaking small in terms of the galactic space dust.
Right, suitcase. Yeah,
exactly. It does not matter. What they're doing up there. The fact is that none of them are ever going to catch up and hit the other ones around them because, they're just in a stable orbit or what have you. So they have just enough pull from gravity to get them to come closer, but every time they do that, they're not actually moving.
Science stuff that we don't fully understand. It all balances out. They're very smart people that, figure all this stuff out.
Right, but they did try to go a little bit into the whole aspect of gravity.
Right.
And and these are battle satellites, so there's some extra military technology to them that we don't.
Now, I'm not exactly sure how you'd be able to get how a gas would operate in a vacuum to get it to, whatever. But sci-fi technology.
Yeah. This dinner conversation with Anne Rose and Kirchheis. So,
they keep laying it on thick.
They laid it on really thick
every single time Anne Rose is brought up. like, oh man.
She is the accidental wedge that will drive these boys apart.
Or just the inspiration that will cause Kierheis to jump on some grenade or whatever in order to basically keep Reinhardt safe, which will still result in his downfall since he relies on Kierheis so much.
Yeah, this is something I actually want to posit as a counter idea to this whole thing here. If Kierheis's role in the story is to support Reinhardt.
Yeah.
And Reinhardt and Yang are the main characters.
Oh, is there no room in the story for Kierheis?
Yeah, in the end game side of things, I think it'll be more of something where Anna Rose, if anything, will be the one that'll need a grenade jumped on her for him.
He'll do something.
To save her.
Gotcha.
And then she'll be like, "What are you doing? You were supposed to protect Reinhardt." And he's like, "I've always loved you." I did everything for you.
There are so many things they can do here.
Because I think this is something that will be maybe a little bit more sad, is that even if Kierheis doesn't die or anything, or doesn't get lost or anything from this, I think that if Anna Rose dies, even if she dies or is hurt or anything like that, it'll be the kind of thing where his loyalty to Reinhardt might, be shaken in some ways.
Yeah, that could totally happen. I just had a thought. Kierheis is a literal red flag.
Okay.
So,
but how so?
Well, the bright red hair.
That's literally it.
Yeah, but because they're building him so much to be a good guy, and
he is
usually
a good guy.
He is a good guy. Yeah. And the thing is that oftentimes in military stories, whoever is the goodest guy doesn't last to the end of the story.
Well, yeah, because, but he can still last a long way. I think he's going to last longer than Anna Rose is my point.
Oh, totally. And I think he could live to the very end of the story. But but the thing with the really good guy, when you pair him with the person that wants to conquer the universe, even if they, are still around and everything, in fact, that can be even better, because then you have the perpetual conflict as they do get split apart, because the one person's conquering the universe and the other person is a good person. And they're like, I think you're taking it a bit far. I don't know if I can keep going with you like this.
Okay, but here's again another thing that I think they're doing with this slow burn here is they're establishing motivation so that because Reinhardt is still actually also a good boy. He hasn't done anything really that is...
Yeah, he's extreme, but he's a good boy. Yeah.
No, I would say the thing in the military sense, in terms of his position of power, he hasn't done anything yet.
Yes,
that would give Kierheis any moment of check to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything like that. We have seen in his characterization that there are the seeds for that to happen in the future potentially, but as of right now, he is
staying the course.
Yep.
And I think that's probably because he's spent a decade with Kierheis,
Sure, yeah.
Like, think about those things that he did in the beginning when he was a kid.
Right.
Kierheis and him were just new friends at that point.
Right, yeah.
They had just met, basically. So I would say that stuff you can kind of say is foreshadowing for the brutality that Reinhardt will show way later. But I think the thing that would the prerequisites that would need to be hit in order to do that is to have Kierheis not be around at that time in order to stop him from doing it.
Yeah.
Because he'll probably start those kinds of things at moments, and then Kierheis will be like, "Hey, Your Excellency, have you considered this possibility?" And he goes, "Excellent, Siegfried. This is why you're here. That's a brilliant move." And
one of the things that has also been established is that Reinhardt has learned the importance of not making enemies within the people that serve him. Right? That was established from the very beginning, and that was something that Siegfried was always telling him, right? You need to stop making enemies. He'll still make enemies with some people in the Empire, right? But he knows how to be diplomatic about things, right?
But within his own command
structure, it's family, we are solid. So if there were something that he saw like, hey, I could do this and maybe be a bit ruthless, but it might make my troops like question like, oh God, I don't know if I want to, like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing where Kierheis would be the tactician again.
Right.
In some ways, a very kind of cold way to even Reinhardt be like, Your Excellency, I would see this as a tactical blunder. if we do this, we'll end up with a 40%, higher rate of blah, 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 blah.
Discontent within the troops or whatever. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, excellent. Yes, I will listen to what you say. Because I think that Reinhardt doesn't have an ego problem within his own kind of decision making. He is very willing to listen to input.
Yes, right.
That's actually a trait I would say that Yang and Reinhardt kind of share. Is that they share an unnatural amount of humility for their position of power that they can put in.
Yeah, and that's something that they showcase very well whenever they go to visit Anna Rose, right? In that, will you get some wine from the cellar? And he's like, yep, sure, I'm
absolutely,
up on it. Absolutely, happy to, you know.
Yeah.
And and she makes the whole comment of like it feels bad asking a fleet admiral to go fetch something for me, but yeah.
I'm trying to see if there was anything in here where Kierheis alludes to how he got the information. I think the only thing in here that's kind of good to bring up is that his what was his name, Grunen or Bergengrun, I believe was his name, was saying like, how would this have been different if you were Reinhardt?
Yeah.
Would you have been so merciful to the inhabitants of this planet? Would you have glassed it if you were Reinhardt? Or would you have been like, all right, set all stormtroopers to exterminate?
Stormtroopers.
No, I mean, that's what the military terms they were called.
Oh, really?
You know where the term stormtroopers came from, right?
No, yeah, it came from the Nazis.
Yes,
yes. Uh-huh.
But they were essentially shock troopers.
Well, or thugs. That would,
No, yes, but the effect of them in a military sense was shock troopers and just breaking the, breaking the spirit of the populace.
Right. I think it was something that was primarily not used in military times, but within like the country itself, for like.
Okay.
Like before Hitler fully came to power. I could be wrong.
Okay,
but,
but that aside...
But did they actually use the term stormtroopers here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, of course not.
Okay.
I'm talking about what would have been the potential thing that the guy was insinuating if Reinhardt was here.
Yeah.
And we don't know what Reinhardt would have done if he was here.
Yeah, who's to say? Although he probably wouldn't have... Well, he considered it to be a bloodless...
even
victory,
though one of them died.
Even though someone did die.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's a nice little separation there. And we have our Julius Caesar scene.
Which was great.
Which is great.
Yep.
This guy's so dramatic and ridiculous. I was very happy to see him get, stabbed, 17 times,
Oh, yeah. And it's poetic, too, because it's the idea of when you wield this kind of power, what you really have to worry about is not external threats, but internal ones. And it's the same for the Empire, right? And that's why it's so important that, like the way Kierheis dealt with this officer that was literally drinking right in front of him and, talking smack to him and all this stuff.
Yep.
He handled it like a champ.
He did.
And now this guy's like, yep, I'm going to go sober up. We're on the clock now.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
I also like this thing where he's like, wait, a commander who's actually good? Now, I think good is a very vague word here, but I think there's a very specific context it's being used here. He's not saying that this commander is actually good at his job.
Right, competent or whatever.
He's talking about morality. He's talking about, D&D alignments here.
Right.
He's like, oh my God.
How does that work?
A commander that's in the top third of the alignment thing chart? I've never seen one of those before. We only dabble in the middle or below.
Right.
So, I think this is a guy who's going to follow Kierheis in the future with...
Yep. And
now, I didn't really catch this bit, but there's this character, Hilda, that shows up. And she hugs...
Kierheis.
Does she hug Kierheis? It looks like she hugs Blonde.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this is. But,
I'm not entirely sure.
All right. Just keep an eye out for her in the future. And then they're talking with the Secretary of State for the Empire. It's a bloodless capture. Rather impressive skill. And then it mentions something here. It says, is it not good? They say it depends on how a person is used. So they're talking about Kierheis and how he'll be used in the future.
Yeah.
So... I like this. They do this thing every once in a while where they'll kind of be like, okay, there are characters talking about a scene and a thing here. The conversation literally continues as we jump planets, like way over here, and they're also talking about it, but they advance the conversation of sorts so that we,
even though
as
it's
the
not
audience,
the same literal conversation,
so that we as the audience know that these people are all kind of on the same page with what's going on,
what the general atmosphere and thoughts are for people surrounding the events that happened.
Mittermeier and Ruenthal being like, oh wow, he did a great job. And then Reinhardt just being like, yes, you're the hero of the Empire, and you're a good man. And that's awesome. I want those two to be like together forever.
Well, and this is again,
and it can't happen, but I want it to happen.
And this is like, with every episode, I love the OP more and more and more, and I can't imagine how much I'm going to love it by the end of the show, assuming the OP stays the same, which I could totally see that being the case. Because of just the overall tone of it, that it's so sad, but hopeful, and what it does with like showing Reinhardt and Kierheist like moving opposite directions and stuff. Like it,
that stuff I feel like is going to take a long time in order to develop, though. But I love this little bit here because it recontextualizes the whole episode. And I think I could be reading into this too much, but I don't think I am. It says, by the way, how shall we handle the Artemis necklace affair? And he's like, well, how? And he's like, well, shouldn't the Alliance be told there's a weak point? And what I love about this is it's like, he doesn't answer the question here.
Right.
He asks another question. And he's like, what does he say? He's like, wait, how did he know there was a weak point, eh? And then the guy's like, well, yeah. And now what I'm genuinely curious about, Jacob, is the way they fade away from this. And they zoom in on Fezzan here, you know? Are they insinuating that Fezzan didn't even know? Or is it more of a thing of where we don't even speak about this kind of stuff out loud because we're too smart to insinuate that we know anything?
Right, because we...
we are smart people. Like,
exactly,
there are things happening, and we don't even need to know everything ourselves, or we don't even need to say.
Right, there is no war within the walls.
Right.
Because Fezzani also probably understands that if it were ever, well, at least currently, I could see them doing something where with enough casualties on both sides, he gets into a point where he can make some play or whatever. But with the way things are set up right now, he only has as much power as long as he can stay legitimate. Right.
For now.
If he ever gets to the point where he is officially illegitimate, he is done.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a fleet, as far as we know. He does have... This is the thing, though. This is a big kind of world-building thing. We both wrote it down. But the Fezzan Dominion. So in space, in order to have something be called a Dominion, you can't have it be just a single planet. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. It's either a section of a planet, which I think is really too small for what we're talking about here, or it is a collection of territories.
So he's Jeff Bezos.
So he is bald. He is running the super business. He
that you can get anything from there.
I mean. But here's my thought with this. Here's my thought with this. Is that unlike TrueNet, who does things in such a dirty way, so brash, in such a brash, forceful way, everyone kind of knows he's a scumbag. The thing is with this guy, it's more everyone knows that he's powerful and maybe wealthy. But
well, he's smarter than TrueNet.
I think he's smarter than TrueNet.
There is no way that this guy would be caught dead doing things that TrueNet does, right? Because that's too obvious. It's too ham-fisted, right? So if anything, I think that this whole weakness thing here, the fact that they use the Artemis necklace, if I was writing this story, I shouldn't think like this most of the time, but if I was writing this story and we did this planetary defense system for the Alliance capital has this little weakness. The Empire knows about it, but they don't know that it's actually the planetary defense system for the Alliance capital, probably. That's my guess, is that they don't actually know that it's being used there. When the Empire ends up encountering the Alliance capital, they can leverage that information to hold the Alliance hostage and go, hey,
you better do what we say, otherwise we'll make the connection here, and your whole war effort, everything ends that.
Well, what I figure it probably is that it's something where the capitals, everyone knows where the capitals are, right? But because there's so many forces and different planets and things like that in the way,
there's no FTL stuff as far as we can see
exactly.
right now.
There's no
means
FTL
you have
stuff.
to navy this stuff.
Right, you have to navy this.
Go all the way through their territory.
Means actually getting to the capital is an impossibility.
With ships.
With ships.
But the way you would do it is you would have people that would hop on transports and meander their way over years and years of time.
Right, there's probably some way to do it, but even then...
they would be informants, essentially.
Right, but even then, the ability to take out the defense system only really is effective when you're at the capital wanting to storm it, and then that's a way to make it easy. But if you take out the defense system, great, it'll take them a while to repair it, but you won't be able to get to the capital in that amount of time, and then they'll repair it in the end. They won't have that vulnerability.
Right, I just think there were multiple layers here, and that the first one is that, okay, we whittled the Empire's fleet down a little bit, the balance has been restored a bit.
Sure.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
The other thing is we got to test out the Alliance's capital planetary defense system in a way that it's probably never been tested before. So we're like, okay, so that's what it would do. Okay, good to know. So now if we make more of them, we could plan around that weakness that it has. But since that one's already deployed in their capital, we can make ours that maybe we put around the Fijan Dominion stronger.
Sure.
And then we can let the Alliance's one be something that we just have that card to play at some point in the future.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the other things, too, is that if the Empire thinks that they can take out the defense system around the Alliance capital, if only they get to it, because they don't know about this vulnerability, that gives Fizani power on both sides. He could keep the information to himself that there is this vulnerability and the Alliance doesn't realize it because this was all happened in Empire territory.
Make the Empire think that the thing is still there and then have their fleet get slaughtered.
Yep. Yeah. There are many things that he can do here. This guy, I'm convinced, is the true antagonist of this story.
Same. Yep.
Oh boy.
So
this episode.
That's how you do an episodic mini story where the actual episodic mini conflict doesn't really garner a lot of interest, but the
world
effects
building
of it and the rippling, the repercussions of said little episodic conflict can lead to some even more interesting things. So, thank you all for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. It was quite a long one. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about his sci-fi epic that he wrote.
That's right. I don't know if I would necessarily call it an epic in the same vein as this, but it is a novel and it's awesome, and it's available for purchase on Amazon. So if you're into sci-fi, you should definitely check it out. Link in the description below. It's in both hardback and ebook, so whichever works best for you. Enjoy.
All right. So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.